What does it take to become the #1 hotel in the United States? Today you are talking hospitality with Jeff Giasson, Vice President and General Manager at Acqualina Resort in Miami, named the #1 hotel and the #1 resort in the United States by the US News and World Report, Best Waterfront Resort and Best Destination Resort by USA Today's 10 Best Awards, all this in 2025.
Nothing makes me happier than making someone else happy. And if we have employees that feel the same way, at the end of the day, what's going to make them happy is seeing happy guests and residents with smiles on their faces. The key that I really live by is to give my team the training and the tools they need to succeed. I always carry a stack of business cards with me because you never know where you're going to find that person that helps someone at a grocery store, that helps someone at a restaurant. Those are things that you can't teach because it comes from the heart. I can teach you a lot of things for most of our positions at the property, but the one thing I can't teach you is to have a great heart and a great attitude.
What makes Acqualina such a respected and awarded resort?
So obviously we talked about what a beautiful property it is, what a beautiful location it is, but what makes it truly one of the greatest resorts around is the amazing people that we have that work at the property.
What would be the 3 practical steps that you would tell them to build a stronger and successful team?
The first thing, if they haven't done it, is
What's up, hospitality? What does it take to become the #1 hotel in the United States? My name is Mauricio Schiller, and today you are talking hospitality with Jeff Giasson, Vice President and General Manager at Acqualina Resort in Miami, named the #1 hotel and the #1 resort in the United States by the US News and World Report, Best Waterfront Resort and Best Destination Resort by USA Today's 10 Best Awards, double 5 stars from Forbes and for the hotel and for the spa, and 5 diamond ratings from AAA. All this in 2025. Jeff, I even got tired to read this list. I had to read it. Welcome to the show and congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Jeff, well, with so many awards, please introduce to our audience that may not know Acqualina Resort, what's so beautiful about this property?
Well, Acqualina Resort is located in Miami, but a place called Sunny Isles Beach is the exact area where it's located, and it's aptly named because it's right on the water. We're very fortunate to get a lot of sun every day, it seems like, year-round, and you're able to walk right out on the beach. Just yesterday, I was looking out and the ocean looked like a lake out there. It was just beautiful with the sun reflecting off of it as the sun rose yesterday morning. It's just a beautiful sight to see.
What makes Acqualina such a respected and awarded resort?
So obviously we talked about what a beautiful property it is, what a beautiful location it is, but what makes it truly one of the greatest resorts around is the amazing people that we have that work at the property. We've been open for 19 years. We just celebrated our 19th anniversary a couple of months ago. And we just yesterday actually had our 5, 10, and 15 year anniversary employee luncheon. That shows you how long many of our employees have worked at the property. And what I told a lot of those employees yesterday is the reason we are so successful is because of all of you. And the culture that you have carried and the Acqualina culture that you have pollinated across all the new employees that have started over the years and have helped to keep that quality what it is and even raise that quality to a higher level each year. I tell the team day after day, if we can just get a little bit better each day after you look back after a month or 2 months or a year, we've gotten a lot better.
So culture. You've worked in almost every role in the hotel, from bellman, housekeeping, and now you are the general manager. How did those early frontline experiences shape the leaders that you are today?
Yes, so I think it's important. I think oftentimes people get into leadership roles and they've never done the job themselves and they don't understand the job. So I think it's very hard for someone to tell someone else what to do if they've A, never been in the job, or B, don't even know how to do the job. Also, I compare it to kind of a pyramid, right? A pyramid is built like a triangle. If you don't have a strong foundation with that pyramid, with the different areas that you've worked, you can't build that pyramid up and become the GM one day. So I really thought it was important, and a lot of my friends that were in the hospitality industry, they maybe rose through the ranks faster than I did, and at times maybe I was jealous. But looking back, I know that it was the right thing, and that I'm glad that I was able to do all those different areas, because at the end of the day, I have a much better understanding. As you mentioned, I've been a bellman. I've had my own housekeeping card at one point. I've worked in laundry. I've worked in in-room dining as a server. I've pretty much done every position you can do in a hotel, both front and back of the house. So having that experience, when I have to speak to employees or coach them or give them guidance, I'm doing it from a place of experience and understanding.
And how did you get in hospitality?
So funny story. So originally I grew up in a construction family. I played a lot of sports growing up. I did love sports, but I also, if I wasn't playing a sport, my father had me on the job site. So I grew up, my grandfather was a carpenter. My father owned a residential construction company in Oklahoma. And that's what I originally went to school for. I originally went to Purdue for building construction management. And I got a job at the hotel called the Union Club Hotel on campus. And that's where I fell in love with hospitality. And I flew home my freshman year. And I remember being very nervous, having to tell my father that I wanted to change my major to hospitality and tourism management. And luckily, he was very supportive. And as my mother always said, I'm a people pleaser. So it's the perfect industry for me to be in, because nothing makes me happier than making others happy.
Wow, that's cool. That's a cool story. And Acqualina has achieved like this incredible recognition. This year has been an incredible year for you, for the company itself. Five Diamonds, first resort, first hotel, but different outlets. What do you believe that's in your personal leadership journey that contributed most to that success?
Well, I think the key that I really live by is to give my team the training and the tools they need to succeed. And at the end of the day, then I trust them to do their job. And obviously, you have to hire the right people. And we're very fortunate, as I mentioned earlier, to have a seasoned team that many of them have been there longer than I've been there, and they know what to do and they know how to train. And certainly, I think the key to success for Acqualina has been the culture that we've had, and maintaining and improving that culture, but also ensuring the employees have the training, the tools, and the support they need to succeed on a daily basis.
And I'm impressed by what you say about these employees that are staying 15 to 10, 5 years. It goes completely against what is the hospitality with such a high turnover rate. What is the turnover rate at Acqualina?
I don't know off the top of my head, but the turnover rate is low at our property, and it's because we really have a culture of ensuring that the employees have the support that they need. I mean, we just did an employee opinion survey, and on a regular basis, we score in the 90 plus percentile range, which is really unheard of in the industry, and that's because we're really just constantly trying to hear from our employees. I do a monthly roundtable where I have employees come from each department, and they come with feedback from their departments on how we can make their department better, how we can make the hotel better, how we can make the employee experience better. And I go through that with my director of HR on a monthly basis, and I answer all the questions and try to see what things we can do to implement procedures and techniques that make the property better and make the employee experience better.
It's about interest, right? It's about learning and being interested in understanding what's their position and how they perceive the company as well. That's absolutely genius. And you, as you read all this information, you can also pinpoint challenges, right? What is the single biggest challenge that you face today to build this team?
That's an easy question. In South Florida, in particular, Especially during COVID, we had a lot of people move this direction, and we've had a lot of new properties open. Not so much in the hotel industry, but in the luxury residential industry, and they are trying to get all those luxury hotel employees. And so there's a lot of competition in terms of getting the best employees at the property. So again, that's why it is so important that we provide the best employee experience. And it's very hard to find a great employee, and it's very hard to keep it a great employee. But keeping a great employee is so beneficial to the hotel and to the company in the long run.
And when you say that it's hard to find good employees, you shared with me that you have your own style, your own technique that you hire for heart and attitude. Can you share how this philosophy has helped you build this team, and what is strategy? How do you do that? How do you find heart and attitude when you interview, where you go?
Yeah. So as we talked about before, when I always carry a stack of business cards with me, no matter where I go, because you never know where you're going to find that person that helps someone at a grocery store, that helps someone at a restaurant, or even just walking down the street. I've been working out at the gym before, and I've seen someone help someone else that needed something. Those are things that you can't teach, because it comes, as you mentioned, it comes from the heart. I can't teach someone to have a great heart and a great attitude. I can teach you a lot of things for most of our positions at the property, but the one thing I can't teach you is to have a great heart and a great attitude. So that's something I really look for. And even something I do a lot of times is if I have an employee sitting outside my office who's potentially going to be an employee, I should say, that's there for an interview, I'll have my assistant chat with them for a little bit and maybe take them around and show them the property. And then I ask my assistant, how did they treat you? Because it's one thing how they treated me, because they're interviewing with me and they want a job and I'm the general manager. But how did you treat someone who is not your boss, who you're not interviewing with? How did you treat that person? So that's another technique that I use sometimes to really kind of see what their true character is.
That's a very cool strategy. What role does onboarding and training have in achieving excellence? And what are the unique elements of training that works well for the Acqualina?
Yes, I think getting someone off to the right start is extremely important. And you can have a great employee, but if you don't give them proper onboarding and training, they're not going to be successful, or at least it's going to be very challenging for them to be successful. It's similar to building a house. If you don't build a house with a strong foundation, it's probably going to collapse one day. So you want to make sure that you start that employee with a very strong foundation, give them all the tools and the training they need to succeed. And then at the end of the day, hopefully you hire the right person and they succeed and they do a great job. But if you don't do that, even if you did hire the right person, if you don't give them a proper onboarding and training, again, it's going to be very challenging for them to succeed, and perhaps very frustrating for them. And that's also how you lose employees, because they're frustrated that they don't have the proper training to succeed in their role. And that's how you can lose an employee.
100% with you there. What are the elements of the onboarding that you use to be successful? Is there any framework that you use that you are comfortable with sharing?
Absolutely. So just to give you an idea, every single employee that we hire at Acqualina, their first day on the job is an entire day in a conference room with our human resources department, and various department heads come into that training and give an overview of their department, the Acqualina culture. HR goes through the initial Acqualina standards in terms of how to interact with both each other, your coworkers, and with hotel guests and residents, as we have both. But another important thing to note is, what I love about our property is you walk around the lobby and interact with guests, and all the employees say hello and smile. But also when you go downstairs and you're walking through the service corridors where there's no guest, it's just employees, you get that same warmth and hospitality from all the employees. And that is so important.
That's team building, and it's hard, right? If you were advising an independent hotelier, what would be the 3 practical steps that you would tell them to build a stronger and successful team?
So I think I mentioned the roundtable that we do on a monthly basis. I think the first thing, if they haven't done it, is to really sit down with the team, do a proper survey and proper, just really get the feedback from them. What do they need to be successful, both in terms of training and in terms of tools to succeed? I mean, it could be as simple as, I've started new jobs before where people are like, we don't have scissors. It's so frustrating. We don't have scissors, and I say, I tell purchasing, I buy 20 pairs of scissors. I never want to run out of scissors. Something that simple can be very frustrating to an employee. So really understanding what are the things that they need to be successful. That's first and foremost. And then again, what are the obstacles that are in their way to help make them more successful? Maybe it's the technology that they're using is not what they need. Maybe the computer is not functioning properly. Maybe something is not located where it needs to be the most efficient. Maybe they've done something at another property that we do differently here. And just because we do it one way here doesn't mean someone else doesn't do it a different way, and maybe it's more efficient. So I'm always open to trying new things, and I think it's important to learn from employees who have come from other places, because we can take all the things that other people have and really implement that into our culture and make it even better. I come from a construction background, but I mentioned, everyone that I've worked for have helped to put different tools in my tool belt. And I think it's important to learn from each other and take those tools that we've learned from other places and other people and implement them, and really get that feedback from your team to implement it at your property as well.
Now you said something that it really puzzled me, and probably hoteliers here will feel like how it happens when it comes to technology, right? So you just mentioned that maybe they don't have the technology that they need, and technology is normally a decision that is made upstairs and thrown down, right? No questions asked. How do you navigate in that helm when technology that was chosen or the technology that you're trying to use is not working out with the team? How do you play up with bringing that information to the shareholders and maybe having a new investment? And how do you navigate in the middle of that to please both sides?
Great question. One of the things that I'm very fortunate with at Acqualina is we're not a huge corporation where it can be, I kind of equate us to a speedboat. We're able to maneuver very quickly, whereas some of the larger corporations are like a large cruise ship. It's much harder for them to maneuver and make turns and kind of change their course, so to speak. So the great thing about our property, if we see something that's not working, employees bring it to my attention. The first thing I do, obviously, is I work with the company that we're using and see, do they have the tools that we need to make this technology do the things that we want it to do? And if it turns out that we just, we maybe chose the wrong technology or the wrong product to use, then we're able to maneuver and get a different product and implement it very quickly. A lot of people that have come from larger companies, larger corporations are amazed at how quickly we're able to maneuver and make changes, which I think really gives us a competitive advantage against some of the larger corporations. Obviously, they have some benefits that we don't have, but I really love the fact that if I want to change something, I'm able to ask. I'm very fortunate. We have Jules and Stephanie Trump from South Africa who immigrated here and are some of the most, amazing developers and people to work for anywhere around. No relation to the president currently, but they are really, really great to work for. And Deborah, the CEO, who is a partner and shareholder with them, basically I pick up the phone or walk into their office or their home, because the Trumps actually live at the Acqualina property. You don't see many owners or developers live at the property. That's how much they care. And sometimes they see things and point them out to me. And I love that, because at the end of the day, I always tell people, if I don't know, I can't fix it. So I'm open to that. And we're very fortunate to have owners and leaders that are on property on a daily basis and willing to make changes and willing to do whatever's needed to help make the team successful.
I love that. If I don't know, I can fix it. There's so many leaders hide what they don't know. So if I don't know, nobody knows, and it's okay. And the way that it is actually shining light what we don't know, so we can fix things and make the perfect experience to the guests, to the residents of the property as well. If we would move towards the future, we are navigating some uncharted waters when it comes to the future. Every person I ask these questions cannot think 2 years ahead of today anymore. We're just being in a remarkable phase of human history. But when it comes to hotel recruiting and training and evolving that for the next 5 years, for the next decade, if you can think that far, especially with the Gen Z now entering the workforce, and they do value different things that our generation has valued before. So where is hotel recruiting and training going for the next few years?
Yeah, you're correct. I mean, obviously, I came up in the old school days where we work, 12, 14-hour days, 6, 7 days a week. And that's expected. And, you're supposed to get to work before your boss and leave after your boss. And that new culture that doesn't expect that and doesn't want that. So I think one thing that's really important in terms of the new culture and the new Gen Z workforce that's coming into the workforce is the fact that we really need to manage work-life balance, and we need to promote work-life balance in terms of that and health and being green. Those are all things that are very important and things that we're really putting a big focus on at Acqualina. We have a green team. We do a lot of things from an HR standpoint with work-life balance in terms of employee events. We do yoga, we do stretching, we have different speakers come. Those are all things that new employees in the workforce want, and they want continual learning and training. So we've partnered with a company that has online training, and we're able to, as we do reviews, we're able to assign certain online training to employees that we think would be beneficial to them. Perhaps that was graded as an area that maybe needs improvement in their review. So those are all things that I think are really important as we move, into the future and with a different workforce.
Sorry to interrupt. If you're enjoying the show and if you are learning something new today, please consider following the show, subscribe to our channel, or leave us a review. It helps us to help more people through the podcast, and it would mean the world to us. Thank you for listening, and we're back on the chat. And when it comes to technology and data, I know that you really like that side of analysis as well, and the labor analysis. So what role does technology and data play in managing the teams effectively?
I do love that. And I was actually just having a discussion with my director of finance yesterday that it's so important that as occupancy fluctuates, that our expenses fluctuate with it as well. So again, if our occupancy level is here, and it drops, we need to make sure our expenses, if they're here, they drop as well, so that we're but it's the challenge with that is we have to make sure that we're still maintaining that 5-star service that we're known for. So if like, for example, this was this Labor Day weekend we just had was extremely, extremely busy weekend. And then Monday, which was Labor Day, we had a huge checkout. And yesterday was not as busy. But that's where I told the team at the morning meeting yesterday, we need to be extremely focused. Yes, occupancy has dropped a little bit until it picks up later this week. But we need to be really focused on not just expenses, but making sure the guests that we have in-house have an even better experience than when we were sold out this past weekend. So really having that focus on making sure that we're still, even maybe I had 10 employees working at the restaurant on Monday, but Tuesday I only have 4 employees working in the restaurant. Well, those 4 employees need to make sure that the people that are dining in the restaurant have just as good experience as the people that were dining in the restaurant with 10 employees on Monday.
And how to actually do that? Because if you drop so many employees for service, how can you actually motivate the ones that are working on the day to deliver the same level or higher level of guest experience?
Yeah, I mean, so something that we do on a regular basis as well is we have a set of standards that we use, which is incorporated from Forbes and a variety of other sources. And we do standard testing on a regular basis. I have a quota for my managers to reach. And we also do a lot of role playing. So it's a kind of a matter of making sure. So I'll do a standard test on an employee. A lot of times they won't even know that, for example, in a restaurant or at the front desk that it's being done. The manager's just kind of in the area listening. And then they coach that employee and say, you forgot to do this, or you forgot to do that, or you could have perhaps done this, or why did you do that? And so it's kind of making sure that everybody's still on their toes. Now, we obviously don't want to create a micromanaging or a big brother culture. We're not trying to do that at all, but also making sure that everybody is doing what they're supposed to be doing and holding everyone accountable.
Mm-hmm. And how about incentives for the employees? Is there any program or anything that really incentivizes them to do their best?
We have a great program, which I love. Obviously, we're called Acqualina, and we have something called $, where anytime an employee creates what we call a wow moment for a guest, or they end up in a comment card, whether it's online or one of the ones that's submitted via email to the guest after they check out, they get an $. And they can redeem those for a variety of things in human resources, from something like earpods, or they can even, I've even had employees become guests of the hotel with their families. They've saved up enough $, to stay in the hotel as a guest, or go to the brunch on the weekends at the restaurant. So that's something that really motivates the employees to do a great job, because we're giving them $, that they can then redeem, to enjoy things with their family, which I think is great as well. And also the fact that, again, back to the people that we hire, nothing makes me happier than making someone else happy. And if we have employees that feel the same way, at the end of the day, what's going to make them happy is seeing happy guests and residents with smiles on their faces, because that's what makes them happy, and that's what they have a passion and a drive to do.
Yeah, that's brilliant. It's a mix of loyalty program with gamification, and it's a beautiful program, like nice, and $, I love that. And question now, a philosophical question. If you could redesign hospitality education for the next generation, what would you include to better prepare future leaders?
So one thing that I was very fortunate to be able to do, as I mentioned briefly earlier in school, was I went to school for hospitality and tourism management, but I also worked at a hotel my entire time in college. I was even there during I was there during Thanksgiving, Christmas, over the summer breaks. I tell you what, I've missed many Thanksgiving and Christmas celebrations with my family. I've missed many of my friends' weddings because of the industry that I'm in. But I've also been fortunate in college, I was able to learn on the job. So I would study something in the classroom, and then I would be working at the front desk, night audit or something. And I would say, okay, I just learned this in my hospitality accounting class, and now I'm doing the night audit at the hotel. And then I would go back and ask the professor, well, this happened last night at the hotel. How would you handle this? Or how does this work? So I think one thing that really should be incorporated in future learning is not just classroom learning. I really think it needs to be applied, because even when you train, I think all of us, it's one thing to see it done. It's another thing to physically do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing is knowledge. The other thing is actually knowing what to do with the knowledge, right? And as we said, knowledge is cheap today. You have your chat GPT and the information is there. And it's the how to that makes the differentiator between the ones that can deliver and the ones that cannot. That was awesome, Jeff, if we could leave a message to maybe your colleagues, someone that's listening to the episode today, what would you be that message that you would leave for them?
Yeah, I think the message that I would leave is I have a reminder on my phone every day to remind me even. I think it's important to put things into perspective. Oftentimes, on the job, in life, we think, oh, what a horrible day I'm having, or I'm having to deal with that. If you turn on the nightly news every night, there's a lot of people that are dealing with a lot worse things that we're dealing with on a daily basis. And we're really blessed to be where we are and have what we have. And it could be a lot worse. So I think a lot of times to realize how blessed we are, have gratitude for what we have, and put it into perspective. Because sometimes, you're frustrated with traffic or something at work, but at the end of the day, I've got a bed to sleep in, I've got electricity, I've got running water, and I'm very fortunate to have an amazing family and coworkers And so at the end of the day, I think it's important to put things into perspective, because we could always have it a lot worse than we have it. And we oftentimes forget that.
Amen to that, Jeff. Amen. Thank you very much, Jeff. It was a pleasure talking to you. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your openness here to share your knowledge, your experience, and congratulations once again about your achievement with Acqualina. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And Jeff, how can anyone that wants to maybe work for Acqualina work with you? How they should contact you?
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, obviously, I'm on LinkedIn, so you could reach out to me directly on LinkedIn, or you could go on Acqualina's website. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom and click on careers, you can have a look at any available positions we have. We do still have a few positions available currently. And, like I mentioned, if you've got a passion to make people happy, this could be the right place for you.
That's it. I'll put also the link there, so anyone listen to this can also apply. Thanks, Jeff. Much appreciated. Chulerinos, thank you for your time. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.